Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy dropping another wow, spine-chilling story for y'all. Today we're diving deep, real deep into the shadowy corners of the internet, the dark web. Buckle up because this one's a roller coaster of suspense, mystery, and straight up creepy vibes. Now before we jump in, let me hit you with a disclaimer. This story is for entertainment purposes only. It's inspired by real dark web tales, but we're spinning it into a fictional narrative to keep things thrilling for you. The Shadow of the Onion, a dark web horror story. It was a chilly October night in 2023 in a quiet suburb of Denver, Colorado. The kind of night where the wind howled just enough to make you second guess every creak in the house. Ethan Parker, a 22-year-old computer science major at the University of Colorado, was sprawled out on his bed in his cramped apartment, his laptop glowing in the dark. Ethan wasn't your typical college kid. Sure, he went to classes, partied occasionally, and had a part-time gig at a local coffee shop. But what set him apart was his obsession with the internet's underbelly, the dark web. Ethan wasn't a criminal, mind you. He wasn't out here buying drugs or hacking into government databases. No, for him, the dark web was like a digital haunted house, a place to explore, to test his skills, to feel the rush of stepping into a world most people didn't even know existed. He'd been poking around on Tor, the browser that unlocks the dark web's hidden onion sites, for about a year now. It started innocently enough, browsing the hidden wiki, checking out forums where people debated everything from cryptocurrency to conspiracy theories. But tonight, Ethan was about to stumble into something far darker than he'd ever imagined. Ethan had just finished a late-night study session for his network security class when he decided to take a break. He fired up Tor, the browser's onion logo glaring at him like a warning. He scrolled through the hidden wiki, a sort of directory for the dark web's shadiest corners. Most of it was the usual stuff. Marketplaces selling everything from fake IDs to knockoff sneakers, sketchy forums, and the occasional hacker for hire ad. But then, something caught his eye. A link labeled The Archive. No description, no tags, just those two words in stark white text on a black background. Something about it felt off. Ethan's cursor hovered over the link. His gut told him to close the browser, maybe watch some Netflix instead. But curiosity got the better of him. He clicked. The page loaded slowly, the Tor network's layers of encryption making every connection feel like wading through molasses. When the site finally appeared, it was unlike anything Ethan had seen before. No flashy graphics, no ads, just a minimalist interface with a single sentence at the top. What you seek is what you find. Below it was a search bar, and below that, a list of cryptic file names. Session_9-17-23. Echo_protocol. Subject_alpha. Each file had a download button next to it, but no file size or format was listed. Ethan's heart raced. This wasn't like the usual dark web nonsense. This felt real. Too real. He typed Denver into the search bar, half joking, expecting nothing. The page refreshed and a new file appeared. Denver_observer_10-01-23. The date was from 2 days ago. His hands froze over the keyboard. What the hell? Against his better judgment, Ethan clicked the download button. A video file began downloading, agonizingly slow. He glanced at the clock. 1:17 a.m. The apartment was silent except for the faint hum of his laptop's fan. When the download finished, he hesitated. His roommate Jake was out for the night, and the emptiness of the apartment suddenly felt oppressive. He double-clicked the file. The video opened in VLC Media Player. At first, it was just static, the kind you'd see on an old TV with no signal. Then, slowly, an image faded in. It was grainy, shot from a high angle, like a security camera. Ethan's stomach dropped as he recognized the scene. It was the street outside his apartment building. The street lamp flickered, casting long shadows across the cracked sidewalk. A figure stood under it, motionless, wearing a dark hoodie. The camera zoomed in, and Ethan's breath caught in his throat. The figure's face was obscured, but they were holding something. A phone maybe, or a small camera, and they were looking up. Directly at Ethan's window, the video cut to black. Text appeared on the screen. "You're being watched. Keep looking." Then the file ended. Ethan slammed his laptop shut, his heart pounding. He rushed to the window and peered through the blinds. The street was empty, the street lamp glowing steadily now. No hooded figure, no camera, nothing. He laughed nervously to himself. Nervous, it's just a prank, muttered. Some dark web troll messing with me. But deep down, he wasn't so sure. The next morning, Ethan couldn't shake the unease. He tried to focus on his classes, but his mind kept drifting back to the video. Who had uploaded it? How did they know where he lived? Was it really just a coincidence that he'd searched Denver and gotten a video of his own street? By the time he got back to his apartment that evening, he was determined to figure it out. He reopened Tor and went back to the archive. The site was still there, unchanged. This one was clearer, shot from inside a building. It took Ethan a moment to realize it was the coffee shop where he worked. The camera focused on him behind the counter, steaming milk for a latte, oblivious to being filmed. The video zoomed in on his face, then cut to a close-up of his apartment key, dangling from a keychain on his belt. Text appeared again, "You're closer than you think." Ethan dropped his laptop onto the bed, his mind racing. Someone was watching him. Not just online, but in real life. He checked the locks on his door, his windows, even the vents in his apartment. Everything was secure, but he didn't feel safe. He called Jake, who was still out with friends, and asked them to come home early.
"Dude, you sound freaked out,"
Jake said.
"What's going on?"
"Just get back here, okay?" Ethan said, his voice shaky.
While he waited, Ethan did what any curious, terrified 22-year-old would do. He went deeper. He scoured dark web forums, searching for any mention of the archive. Most of what he found was the usual mix of paranoia and bravado. People claiming to have seen everything from snuff films to government black sites. But one post, buried in a thread on the site called ShadowTalk, caught his attention. The username No Exit had written, "The archive isn't a site, it's a trap. Once you download, they have you. Don't search your own name."
Ethan's stomach churned. He'd already done exactly that. He tried messaging No Exit, but the account was inactive, last online months ago. Desperate, he posted his own thread, keeping it vague. "Anyone know about a site called The Archive? Found some weird files. Need info." He didn't mention the videos or his name. Within minutes, replies flooded in, most of them useless. "Sounds like a honeypot. Feds probably. Delete your browser and move to another country. LOL." But one reply stood out, from a user called Watcher X.
"Stop digging. They're already inside."
Ethan didn't sleep that night. Every noise, the creak of the floor, the hum of the fridge, made him jump. When Jake got home, Ethan told him everything, expecting his roommate to laugh it off. But Jake, a laid-back guy who usually didn't take anything seriously, looked genuinely spooked. "Dude, you need to chill with this dark web stuff," he said. "What if it's some psycho hacker messing with you? I need to know who they are," Ethan said, his voice stubborn. "I'm not letting this go." The next day, Ethan skipped his classes and dove back into the archive. He searched Jake Miller, his roommate's name. A file appeared, Jake_Miller_100323. Ethan's hands shook as he downloaded it. The video showed Jake walking through campus, laughing with a group of friends. The camera followed him from a distance, zooming in on his backpack, where a small tag with his initials hung. The text at the end read, "He doesn't know yet." Ethan showed Jake the video, and that was the breaking point. "I'm out, man," Jake said, packing a bag. "I'm staying at my girlfriend's until you figure this out. This is too weird." Ethan tried to argue, but Jake was gone within the hour, leaving Ethan alone in the apartment. That night, Ethan got a private message on ShadowTalk from Watcher X. "You're in too deep. Meet me IRL. Denver, 16th Street Mall, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Look for the red scarf." Ethan stared at the message. Meeting a stranger from the dark web in real life? That was how people ended up in true crime documentaries. But he was desperate for answers, and this was the only lead he had. The 16th Street Mall was bustling the next evening, despite the cold. Street performers played guitars, tourists snapped photos, and locals hurried to grab dinner. Ethan wore a hoodie and kept his head down, scanning the crowd for a red scarf. At exactly 8 p.m., he spotted her. A woman in her late 20s, standing near a coffee cart, a red scarf draped around her neck. She had sharp eyes and a guarded expression, like someone who'd seen too much. "You Ethan?" she asked when he approached, her voice low. "Yeah," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "You Watcher X?" She nodded. "Call me Sarah. Let's walk." They moved through the crowd, Sarah keeping her voice hushed. "The archive isn't just a site," she said. "It's a network, a group of people, hackers, creeps, maybe worse, who collect data on anyone they can. They use AI to scrape the dark web, the clear web, even private databases. Once you interact with their system, it locks onto you. It pulls everything, your name, your location, your habits, and builds a profile." Ethan's mouth went dry. "Why me? I'm nobody." "You click the link," Sarah said. "That's all it takes. They don't care who you are. It's a game to them. They watch, they manipulate, and if you're unlucky, they escalate." "Escalate how?" Ethan asked. Sarah stopped walking and looked at him, her eyes hard. "You don't want to know, but I've seen what happens when they get bored. People disappear." Ethan's mind flashed to the videos, the cryptic messages. "What do I do?" he asked. "Stop using the internet. All of it. Ditch your devices, change it." "Serious. It'll block some of their tracking for a while, but it's not foolproof." "Urgent. Run it and lay low. Firm. Don't contact me again." Before Ethan could respond, she melted into the crowd, leaving him alone with the USB drive in his hand. The hunt. Back at his apartment, Ethan plugged the USB into a spare laptop he hadn't used in months just to be safe. The script was a complex piece of code designed to scramble his digital footprint, masking his IP and disrupting trackers. He ran it, watching his lines of code scroll across the screen. For the first time in days, he felt a glimmer of control. But the relief didn't last. The next morning, his main laptop wouldn't boot. The screen displayed a single message. Ominous. "We see you." He tried his phone, same message. His smart TV, his gaming console, even his roommate's old tablet, all bricked, all showing the same words. Panic set in. He grabbed a spare laptop and ran Sarah's script again, but this time, it crashed halfway through. A new file appeared on the desktop. Ethan Parker, Final 10/05/23. He didn't want to open it, but he had to know. The video was different this time. It wasn't grainy or distant. It was crystal clear, shot from inside his apartment. The camera panned across his living room, lingering on his couch, his coffee table, the half-eaten pizza from last night. It zoomed in on his bedroom door, slightly ajar. Text appeared. Chilling tone. We're here. Ethan grabbed a kitchen knife and searched the apartment, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. Nobody was there. No signs of a break-in. But the video was real. Someone had been inside, filming him, and he hadn't even known. Ethan didn't sleep for 2 days. He unplugged every device in the apartment, covered his windows with blankets, and barely left his room. He was paranoid, jumping at every sound, checking the locks obsessively. He tried to focus on finding the server Sarah mentioned, but without his main laptop, he was limited. He used a spare laptop to dig through dark web forums, searching for any clue about the archive's origins. He found a lead on a site called Deep Dive, a forum for ex-hackers and whistleblowers. A user named Ghostbite claimed to have worked for a group that sounded eerily like the archive. They described it as a digital panopticon, a system that used AI to monitor and manipulate targets for profit, blackmail, or just amusement. Ghostbite claimed the group operated out of a data center in Nevada, hidden in plain sight as a legitimate tech company. They didn't give a name, but they mentioned a CEO who went by the alias, the Curator. Ethan cross-referenced the info with clear web searches, using a library computer to avoid detection. He found a company in Las Vegas called Next Gen Analytics, a low-profile firm specializing in data solutions. The CEO was a man named Victor Crane, a reclusive tech mogul who rarely appeared in public.
The Curator. He knew it was reckless, but he couldn't keep living like this. He had to end it. He booked a bus ticket to Las Vegas, packed a backpack with the bare essentials, and left Denver under the cover of night. The confrontation. Las Vegas was a sensory overload. All neon lights and slot machine jingles. But Ethan barely noticed. He checked into a cheap motel on the outskirts of the city and used a burner phone to research Next Gen Analytics. The company's headquarters was a sleek, modern building in an industrial park, surrounded by high fences and security cameras. Breaking in was out of the question, but Ethan had another plan. Using the spare laptop, he ran a phishing attack, targeting Next Gen's public-facing website. It was a long shot, but if he could get inside their network, he might find evidence of the archive. After hours of work, he managed to exploit a vulnerability, gaining access to an internal server. What he found was a gold mine, terabytes of data, including video files, user profiles, and encrypted communications. One folder was labeled Active Targets. Inside was a file with his name. It contained everything: his search history, his class schedule, his bank records, even photos of him sleeping in his apartment. There were notes too, written like a twisted game log. Subject shows increased paranoia. Escalate to in-person surveillance. The last entry, dated that morning, read, "Subject en route to Las Vegas, prepare containment." Ethan's heart stopped. They knew he was coming. He slammed the laptop shut and grabbed his bag, ready to bolt, but then he heard it, a faint click from the motel room door. He froze, gripping the knife he brought from Denver. The door creaked open, and a figure stepped inside, silhouetted against the neon glow from the street. It was Sarah. "You didn't listen," she said, her voice calm but edged with frustration. "I told you to stop." "You're with them?" Ethan asked, his voice shaking. "No," she said, stepping closer, "but I used to be. I got out, but they never let you go completely. You led them right to you." Before Ethan could respond, the room filled with red laser dots, dancing across the walls. Men in black tactical gear burst through the door, shouting commands. Ethan dropped the knife, his hands raised. Sarah didn't move, her expression unreadable. When Ethan woke up, he was in a sterile, windowless room, strapped to a chair. A man sat across from him, impeccably dressed, his face calm and almost kind. "Ethan," he said, "I'm Victor Crane, or as you might know me, the Curator." Ethan tried to speak, but his mouth was dry. Crane leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. "You're a curious one. Most people stop after the first video, but you kept digging. I admire that. What do you want?" Ethan managed to croak. "It's not about what I want. Crane said. It's about what you've given us. Data. Your fear, your reactions, your every move. It's all part of the experiment. The archive isn't just a site, it's a mirror. It shows people who they really are when they think no one's watching. Ethan's mind reeled. You're insane. Am I? Crane said, smiling. Or am I just honest? The world runs on data, Ethan. Governments, corporations, even your precious universities. They all watch, they all collect. I just do it better. Before Ethan could respond, the door opened and Sarah walked in. She didn't look at him. He's ready, she said to Crane. Ready for what? Ethan demanded, struggling against the restraints. Crane stood, smoothing his suit. You'll see, or maybe you won't. That's the beauty of it. The room went dark, and Ethan's screams were swallowed by silence.